Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up. It's the show where I go over the week's pop culture news, mostly comic books and movies. But first, I got to give a big shout-out to David Hatch. David effin' Hatch, I should say, has been gracing us with witty and zany one-liners, zingers, if you will, over at our movie reviews live that we're doing on Friday night, on Rockin Robbie Live on Sunday nights, and just on person, or in person when we see him. David Hatch is one of our very first patrons, actually, over at patreon.com/PCP. David continues his support, but along with it come these zany one-liners from him. So David, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of everybody here at PCP, thank you so much for your patronage here of PCP. You are a true general in the PCP Army. If you want to join David and others in their support of this channel, you can do so at patreon.com/PCP. Let's get right into some news. DC Future State. Well, now we know what exactly it is. Okay, here's a little bit of backstory. We all knew that 5G was a thing that they were thinking about doing. It was Dan DiDio's baby. They were basically, after death metal, going to age up all of the established heroes at DC and then create these new legacy versions of these characters, move the timeline up a little bit, and have an older Superman, an older Wonder Woman, an older Batman, but a new, young, fresh generation of people in these roles. Dan DiDio was then fired. The coronavirus shutdown happened. DC rethought. They pulped their Free Comic Book Day special one-shot that was supposed to really kind of start kicking this stuff off. They had already been laying groundwork for this. They had already started working on this. Then they decided not to go in that direction at all. Now, before this was going to take place, there was going to be a 2-month stopgap editorial thing going on, much like they did with Convergence. In fact, we mentioned it here on the channel when we were talking about the possibility of a Convergence 2 type thing. So it was going to be 2 months in which another editorial team would come in and replace the line for just 2 months and give all of the rest of the line 2 months to kind of get caught up on deadlines and kind of get their visions and directions established. And really it was going to help lean into 5G, like in kicking it off on schedule and not missing a beat. Well, what has happened is this. All the work that was being done on DC 5G is now being converted into the book, or into the event, if you want to call it that, DC Future State, giving us a look at a potential future for the DC timeline. That's pretty much what's going to happen. So for 2 months, in January and February of 2021, all of your mainstream DC line books will be replaced by these titles that we'll be talking about. These titles were initially supposed to be the new launch of the next wave of DC books. Now it's a look into a possible future, a 2-month stopgap in publication to get caught up for the new directions and continuing arcs that are coming in March of 2021. So that's what this stuff is. For instance, we knew that there was going to be a new Batman, possibly written by John Ridley. He was probably going to be a black man. It possibly was Luke Fox. We knew that was happening. We were already discussing it. Tynion has already revealed that he was just supposed to be writing Batman up to 100 so that this stuff then could take over and take place. But here we go. Let's get into the books. And I'm actually very excited about this 2-month little mini event, and here's why. First of all, we have Future State, the new Batman. It's a 4-issue series over 2 months, so these are going to be, for the most part, 4-issue series over 2 months, so they'll be bi-weekly. So, the next Batman is going to have the story of the next Batman, written by John Ridley with artwork by Nick Darrington. That's a great creative team, and I'm excited to see what that book's going to be. Now that we know that this is not the plan going forward, right? They can make these changes, and it's a cool look, like a what-if type scenario. Almost like imagine, I mean, they've done this before, even in Marvel, like this, kind of like what 2099 was, the next generation of these heroes. So that book will also have little tiny backup stories of other titles that may have been worked on for 5G. We have Outsiders by Brandon Thomas and Sumit Kumar. Sumit Kumar Yes, that's awesome. Arkham Knights by Paul Jenkins and Jack Herbert. Then we have Batgirls by Vita Ayala and Anika. We've seen so far that this is actually going to be Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown as Batgirls. That's super freaking cool. And then we have Gotham City Sirens. That was going to be Paula Sevenbergen and Emanuela Lupacchino. So that's all in the next Batman book. Those 4 issues. Then we have Dark Detective. And the Dark Detective book is Mariko Tamaki and Dan Mora. Dan Mora, hell yeah. And I guarantee you that this is what Tamaki was building up to at the end of Detective Comics 1027. So I'm pretty sure that's the Batman who's taking over here. So you actually have 2 different Batman in this timeline, so that's interesting. Grifters is going to be a backup feature in that title, written by Matthew Rosenberg with artwork by Carmine Dejan Domenico, which that's a great team for that. Red Hood by Joshua Williamson and Giannis Miliogiannis. That's a great pair-up. Like, these are actually some really good writers and artists and some really cool team-ups of the writers and artists. There's also going to be just some regular size series. They're not going to be extra size like the Batmans or even the upcoming Superman ones we're about to talk about. But there's a Future State Batman Superman book by Jean Lun Yang. That's freaking awesome, with artwork by Ben Oliver. Holy cow. Catwoman by Ram V and Otto Schmidt. What? Harley Quinn by Stephanie Phillips and Simone DeMeo. What? Nightwing by Andrew Constant and Nicola Scott. And then we have Robin Eternal by Megan Fitzmartin and Eddie Barrows. So far, all of the art teams on these books are really freaking cool. And I'm happy that this isn't what DC publication is going to be like for the next few years, but at the same time, like, I don't know, those are some really good teams. Then let's get into the Superman books. We have Superman of Metropolis. This is Jonathan Kent aged up to be the Superman of the bottled city of Metropolis. Cool idea. This is going to be one of those exercise books that has some backup features. The Superman of Metropolis is going to be written by Sean Lewis with artwork by John Timms. Sean Lewis from The Few. Sean Lewis from Thumbs. Yes, please. That sounds awesome. The Guardian by Sean Lewis and Cully Hamner. Huntsville native Cully Hamner. Hell yeah. Mr. Miracle by Brandon Easton and Valentina Delandro. Then we have Superman Worlds at War, because this is the Kal-El Superman. Something's happened politically, globally, where he's kind of been exiled from Earth. So now he's out in space doing crazy stuff. Superman Worlds at War by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Mikkel Hanen. These creative teams are like almost dream teams. Seriously. That's going to have backup features like The Midnighter by Becky Cloonan, Michael W. Conrad and Gleb Melkinoff, Black Racer by Jeremy Adams, and Sia Quorn, I think, and Mr. Miracle, the repeating feature by Easton and Delandro. Then we have The Immortal Wonder Woman. The Immortal Wonder Woman is going to be by Becky Cloonan, Michael Conrad, and Jen Bartel. Yes, Jen Bartel on a Wonder Woman book. Yo, that's going to be awesome. It's going to have a backup feature for Nubia by L.L. McKinney, Altia E. Martinez, and Mike Morales. So that's cool. Legion of Superheroes, Superman, Wonder Woman, Superman versus Imperious Lex, and then we got the newish Wonder Woman. So that's pretty interesting. This is all going to be like, for instance, the Legion of Superheroes is still Brian Michael Bendis with Riley Rossmo on the artwork. The House of L's a one-shot. It's by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Kara Zor-El, Superwoman. Marguerite Bennett, Marguerite Sauvage. That sounds like an interesting one. Then we have Superman Wonder Woman. That's by Dan Waters. Dan Waters? Hell yeah. The writer of Coffin Bound is going to be doing the Superman Wonder Woman book. That's pretty freaking awesome. And then the Wonder Woman series is going to be by Joel Jones. And then Superman versus Imperious Lex is by Mark Russell and Steve Pugh. It's a 3-issue series. And it's weird. It's like a Lex Luthor who runs, like, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be satirical in nature, as a lot of Matt Rosenberg type stuff is, or Mark Russell stuff is. But it actually seems really freaking cool. Then we've got more books. Yes, that's right. Future State Justice League by Joshua Williamson and Robson Rocha. Justice League Dark by Ram V and Marcio Takara. That sounds, of course, awesome. Green Lantern, we're going to have a few tales in that, like Tales of Green Lantern Corps by Josie Campbell and Ryan Cady. Then we have The Last Lanterns by Jeffrey Thorne and Tom Rainey. Then we have a Suicide Squad book by Robbie Thompson with a Black Adam backup story by Jeremy Adams and Fernando Passarin. Then we've got an Aquaman book. There's a lot of them. It's everything. This is DC Books for January and February. Aquaman by Brandon Thomas and Daniel Sampier, and it looks like Jackson is Aquaman. That seems cool. The Flash by Brandon Vietti and Dale Eaglesham. And then we have Teen Titans, Tim Sheridan, Rafael Sandoval, and Shazam by Tim Sheridan, Eduardo Pancia. And then we have Swamp Thing by Ron V and Mike Perkins. Swamp Thing by Ron V and Mike Perkins. We just got to see a little bit of what that could be like in the recent Swamp Thing horror special. Man, I am really excited. These are some really top-notch creative teams lined up for DC Future State. I'm super excited. Which ones are you looking forward to, or are you looking forward to it at all? Let us know in the comments down below. We got some new King of Black tie-ins. The King in Black tie-ins announced for January from Marvel. We have Return of the Valkyries, which is going to be co-written by Jason Aaron. It's going to have Moonstar. It's going to have the original Valkyrie. It's going to have Jane Foster and the Centuries involved. So that's going to be cool. That's a 4-issue series. We have a one-shot, I believe, The Black Knights, written by Simon Spurrier. He's been doing great works on books like Alienated and recently of The Dreaming. So really excited to check that one out. And Gwenom vs. Carnage. I think that's a 4-issue series by the typical writer of Ghost Spider, what do they call her now? Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, Shannon McGuire. So that's some more King in Black tie-ins. When it comes to King in Black, all you got to read is the stuff written by Cates. Trust me. That's really all you got to get into. TKO has announced some shorts coming up in their next wave. These are going to be zine-sized, $2.99, one-shot comic books, one and done. Some really cool stuff. One of them I've had a chance to check out, and I really did enjoy it. First book, we got Seeds of Eden. This is going to be written by Liana Kangas and Joe Corallo, with artwork by Paul Azaceta. I read this one. Really, really good. Definitely want to check this one out. The Father of All Things by Sebastian Gerner and Baltimore Rivas. He is the recent writer of the most recent pick of the week, which was The Devil's Red Bride. So that's cool. And then we have Night Train by Steve Fox and Lissandro Estrin. That's really, really neat. We also have a horror anthology prose novel that's illustrated called Blood Like Garnets, and that's coming from TKO as well. And it's written by Lee Harlan with Maria Wynn on the artwork there. There we go. We also got, what's this? Tatiana Maslany. We were all talking about how she was going to be playing Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. Well, apparently she's come out and said, that's not true. That's not happening. What? Well, looks like we all got that one wrong, but we're going to keep our eyes open for who does get cast as She-Hulk, and if it turns out to be her, then whatever. There was a trailer for Season 2 of His Dark Materials. I was a huge fan of the Golden Compass movie. Really saddened when they never finished out that film series based on a book series. HBO, BBC, they got a hold of it. I loved Season 1 last year, so I'm really pumped for Season 2. The trailer looks freaking epic. It is awesome looking. And they're reviving Dexter. Dexter's getting a Showtime miniseries to kind of, I guess I never watched Dexter, but some people were dissatisfied with the ending, and they're going to try to, I don't know, iron it out. I don't know. But it's coming back with Michael C. Hall as the titular character of Dexter. So if you're a Dexter fan, be happy because it's coming back for a TV miniseries. So that's what we got coming up for you. That's what we got today. What's coming up here at PCP? We got Rockin Robbie Live Sunday night, 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Tuesday night will be the weekly comic book review. Thursday morning, the top 10 comic books of the week. Friday night, a Horror Fest live movie review. This week, we're going to be talking about The Wolfman, and I couldn't be more excited. We're nearing the end of Horror Fest, and it's kind of sad, but don't worry. I always hear that the villain likes to strike again when you least expect it. All that stuff and more here at Pop Culture Philosophers. Thank you so much. Please do join the PCP Army. That's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group where you can interact with me, other members of the excitable PCP crew, and of course the PCP Army and family and friends and just all of us. We're all there hanging out. So thank you so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on living.